there's a lot of people who are they're looking to get approval from mom, from dad, um, from their husband, their wife, their coworkers. They just want this attention that they're good enough and they're okay. And I don't know what it was for you, Michelle, but for me, I was like, when again, my defining moment was in 2012 when my dad died. And I didn't know I was an intuitive, but I certainly knew that what someone was telling me was the most craziest thing I'd ever heard. And so that's why I started realizing that I had to access myself first, please myself first, and be with God. And it was interesting because, shortly thereafter I went on disability, and it was words came out of my mouth that I never heard, which was I was writing for someone, and for this platform, and it said, "Who are you inspired by?" And I said, "The divine," but I didn't even know what that really meant. It just came in, like I knew that was the only person I was moved by, like who influenced me. And not that you don't influence me, you do. And my friends all influence me. I love my friends. I love you. I love my husband. And I'm always open to hearing things. But at the end of the day, it's the divine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't agree with you more that connecting, to meditate and pray are so key. Now, when you meditate, do you feel like you hear?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
People should expect to hear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about this on here before when we've talked about connecting with our guides, or with source, and using your intuition. And we've talked about how it's interesting when people will say, well, I pray, but I don't meditate. Because sometimes, I've heard even, and again, everyone is entitled to their own belief. It's not my belief, but what I've heard some people say is yoga is evil, meditation is evil. And,
I'm smiling because it's like, okay, like.
Yeah. And I, because I grew up in a very evangelical church atmosphere, I know where they get that. I know where they're coming from, even though.
Whoa. Where do they get that? Because I don't know.
Well, yoga in particular has been associated more with the Eastern cultures.
Okay.
And Eastern cultures in general, they don't practice Christianity as, and I'm being very careful here how to say this, they don't necessarily practice Christianity as a lot of Bible-based teaching churches practice it.
However, may I just, because I'm going to let you finish, but so
yeah.
You're right. Mm-hmm. And also the community that gave us acupuncture, right?
Yes, and a lot of that is not accepted by Christian churches either.
Ooh, interesting. Oh. So I did not grow up in a church. I grew up in a synagogue. We didn't have this. Go for it, girlfriend. Yeah. I want to hear it all. Because this is going in, what I'm getting now, and we're going to tie this in, people. This is where, I am on fire. This is where the programming came, didn't it?
It absolutely did.
Crap.
Which is why now, now that I'm old enough to be able to make my own decisions, I have chosen to open my mind, and that is why I don't believe a lot of the things that I grew up being told,
Mhm.
because I understand now that just because somebody doesn't call the higher power the same name that you do does not mean that they are not getting the same type of guidance, that it's not coming from love, that it is evil.
Mhm.
And speaking of acupuncture, I mean, I go every month. I believe in it very much.
Acupuncture is the first time I floated above my body. Love it.
It's natural.
Mhm.
Acupressure points in our body, we were created with those. How much more natural could you get?
No, I mean, you
We
you
are
do an ear
given
right, yeah, yeah.
we are given everything that we need without drugs, without pharmaceuticals. We have done more damage to ourselves, and this could be a whole
I
a
hear
whole
you.
show in and of itself. But and I know you do a lot of shows about that, so we won't get totally
Oh,
we
but
won't
go
go down
ahead.
that
Can
rabbit
I show
hole
my pictures
completely.
about my damage while you talk?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. It's just what is sad to me is that some people are not open-minded. And let me say this, it is not all their fault.
Not
And I
any.
say that because they were programmed to believe those things. Now, when they get to be a certain age, and it's different for everyone, but when they get to be a certain age, they are held accountable to what they are open to and what they do believe. And now more than ever, there are so many things in our world, especially in our media sources, that will tell us conflicting information. And so that is why Jodi and I go straight to source for our guidance. Because if you think that you are going to find one person, even Jodi or myself or anyone that we respect, we all have different beliefs. We may all generally believe the same thing, but we have details that are different. And so we each need to find out for ourselves by going directly to source what it is that's right for us, what it is that we believe, and be open to other ideas that you might not have grown up hearing, no matter what your background is. You didn't have to grow up in church to receive this programming, because whomever raised you was programmed in a certain way. And so they're going to pass that on to you. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. They're just passing on what they know. And a lot of it is probably wonderful, and some of it might not be. So that's why we have to go straight to source, in my opinion, and we get our beliefs and our guidance straight from source, and then we just can't go wrong. We can't go wrong.
No, you really can't. And here's the thing. And first of all, I just want to acknowledge Ariana. She says, what she does is setting boundaries, spiritual baths, which I think I know what those are, but I would like Ariana, if you want to share what your spiritual baths are. She does journaling, she reads books, and she also does meditation. These are all wonderful things.
Love it.
Yeah, she's a rock star. Love Ariana.
Mm.
Um, you know, a friend of mine I was sharing with, who's, shares our gifts. I was explaining how Fagala came back. Fagala was my grandfather and came back as a bird. And he said to me, well, I don't know. And he's brilliant, right? He said, I didn't think that people could come back as animals. Now, I don't argue with people. I just say, ask spirit, ask source. And he goes, and he did. And he goes, wow. And so if you rely on source energy, guess what? You get to avoid needless conversations.
And arguments, disagreements.
Actually, the arguments, right? So Ariana says, putting intentions and herbs into my bath for cleansing, protection, and self-love. Love it. So one of the things that I used to do when I was healing, and I do it from time to time, but I used to do it literally 2 to 3 times a week. I would take a bath in frankincense, essential oil, lavender, or maybe bergamot. That's for trauma. And with my Epsom salts. And then I would listen to the book on audio, The Secret, and over and over and over and again. And it's how I retrained, one of the ways in which I reprogrammed my brain from the negative thoughts, because I was a negative Nelly, into, anything's possible. Choose. So now Naima says, thank you, Naima, for being here. She says, grand rising, beautiful spiritual teachers. You are right. Fear of that which is different than what we learned in our own religious traditions keeps us from benefiting from the knowledge that it's available. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing a whole series on YouTube about, and it was not my idea, it was Fagala's. I was working with Trey Jackson, who's my YouTube advisor. He's awesome. And she, you know how Fagala gets. She's like, squawk, squawk, and she'll just keep on inputting until you pause, listen to her, tell everybody what she said, and then she'll quiet down, right?
Yeah.
She wants to do a whole series on fear is fake. The Cinderella story is fake. This is fake. This is fake. This is fake, right? Like 60-second clips of what's fake.
Yeah.
Like to reprogram, just to kind of plant the seed that this is fake, and then really start exploring what's real to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't have to agree with me, by the way.
Right. Absolutely.